Starting the class, yesterday I was talking to you about the first topic in unit number 2, that is categories of information systems. I gave a brief introduction yesterday. The information systems are of various varieties. I mentioned some of the names yesterday, like management information system, decision support system, etc. But we will have to start with the most fundamental, the most basic information system which provides data to all other systems. That basic fundamental system in an organization is the transaction processing system or online transaction processing system. This is the system where actual transactions are carried out. Therefore, it captures the details of individual transactions. From this data, we can implement many other things. For example, when you want to do analytical processing, for doing analytical processing, you need the summary data of all the transactions. That again comes from the transaction processing system. To get an idea of what is a transaction processing system, think of an airline booking system, airline ticketing system, or a railway reservation system. On the railway reservation system, all the passenger tickets are booked. So you may be going to a railway reservation office and buying the ticket across the counter, or you may be using IRCTC app in your smartphone and booking a ticket. But the data goes to the same server. There, all the details of your ticket, they are captured. Who is the passenger? What is the Aadhaar card of the passenger? Date of journey, station of origin, station of destination, class of travel, everything. Like this, every day, 24 hours a day, round the clock, transactions are getting entered into the online transaction processing system. In a day, perhaps 1 lakh or 2 lakhs of such transactions are captured. Looking at these transactions, no one can make any sense because they are so large in number and so voluminous. But these are the basics for doing analysis. Example, railways would like to know, in Telangana Express, which runs between Secunderabad and New Delhi, what are the days on which maximum number of people travel? This can be found out by collecting data from the ticketing system, then sorting them day of the week wise for a period of 1 year, averaging it, and then comparing it. So analysis needs transaction data. Similarly, what about decision support system? That is the third topic in your unit 2. When you have to take a decision, again, you need to analyze. You have to analyze facts and figures. Where do you get the basic data for analysis? Again, from the online transaction processing system. That's what I am trying to convey to you. In our organizations, we may use so many varieties of information systems. Decision support systems, group decision support systems, executive information systems, data warehousing, or whatever. But the basic data, the raw material for all those systems well, not raw material, raw data for all those systems comes from a single source, online transaction processing system. I would like you to imagine, suppose it were not so, what will happen? In that case, you will have to enter individual transactions offline or in a batch mode into your MIS, which is enormous workload and which will delay the whole working of all other information systems inordinately. So that is not something which can be permitted. To manage and to extract utility from information systems, you must first have in place the online transaction processing system. A core banking system like ICI system or SBI YONO, it's a transaction processing system. In SBI YONO, you can add a pay, you can transfer funds, you can check your balance. It is online transaction processing. So also IRCTC app. So also Amazon shopping app. So also Ola cab hailing app. It is basically capturing transactions. So the most basic, the most fundamental of all information systems is OLTP, online transaction processing system. Now, what are the characteristics of online transaction processing system? This system provides connectivity not only to customers, it also provides connectivity to our own managers and employees and to our own business associates also. How? Coming back to the example of IRCTC app with which I started. Now, when you book a ticket, you also need travel insurance. In fact, nowadays, when you book a ticket on IRCTC, by default, insurance policy is also issued, travel insurance policy. There is an option where you can say, I don't want a travel insurance, then you will not be insured. But if you don't check any checkbox like that, by default, your ticket is booked and the insurance policy is also issued. Railways are booking your ticket, but who is giving the insurance policy? Not railways. It is given by insurance companies. So New India Assurance Company, which is again a Government of India body, they may be given the responsibility of issuing the insurance policy. So as soon as you are booking a ticket on your smartphone in IRCTC app, the data must flow instantly to insurance company also. Insurance company is not a part of our organization of railways. They are our business associates. So the OLTP also needs to provide data connectivity to our business associates. In this case, it is an insurance company. In a different case, it could be a retail outlet. It could be a transporter, whatever. Then it also provides information and data to our own managers. To understand that, come back to what I said in the beginning, right in the beginning, that to do the analysis, you have to capture the data from OLTP. Now, who does the analysis? It is our own managers and executives. So they also need to have connectivity to our online transaction processing system. So from this, you will understand, students, that online transaction processing system not only connects our customers on the internet, it also connects to our business associates and service providers, as well as to our own managers and executives who are interested in looking at that data, analyzing that data with a view to monitoring and improving our organization's performance. So it's a very basic system which provides all these facilities. Presently, all these systems which are in existence, they all work on a very simple fundamental concept. That fundamental concept is in fact so simple, that's why it is so powerful. And that fundamental technology is RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. So look at a very complicated enterprise resource planning system like SAP, or look at the railway ticketing system under IRCTC, or an airline aggregating and booking system like Make My Trip. All these presently work on the technology of RDBMS. RDBMS is such a simple technology that it is most easy to understand and most easy for extracting data, querying data, presenting data, reporting and analyzing. So RDBMS is the foundation for all these online transaction processing systems. These systems are mission critical. Mission critical is a phrase which means that when this system fails, the mission of your organization will not get accomplished. It's obvious. If IRCTC app fails for 1 hour, during that 1 hour, no passenger can book a ticket from anywhere in the world. No insurance policy will be issued. No manager will be able to do any analysis. That's why such systems are mission critical. If some system is so mission critical, where its failure cannot be tolerated even for a few minutes, then it is obvious that it requires very effective upkeep and maintenance. We have to make sure that this system doesn't fail. It should be up and running all the time. Therefore, for all OLTPs, we will have dedicated database administrators, DBAs. These DBAs are responsible for several activities such as taking regular backups of data, identifying when the system failure has occurred, and then recovering the system to its original working condition, restoring the system. By restoring we mean bringing the system to the same state which existed before the system crashed. So they maintain log files, backup files, several generations of backup files, and make sure that when a failure happens, they should be able to identify that and recover from that failure in the shortest possible time, and during that time during that short time period of interval during which transactions were failing, some transactions may have to be rolled back, some transactions may have to be rolled forward. So all these are activities involved in backup and recovery systems. Not only that, these systems also have a very active firewall and intrusion detection system. Actually, if your firewall is totally effective, intrusion should not take place. No one should be able to enter your system. But please understand, no firewall can be 100% perfect. It's not possible, because firewalls work on the philosophy of default permit or default deny. And in both, your default lists have to be updated regularly. That cannot be perfect all the time. So there will be a few unfortunate situations when, despite having a firewall, an intruder is able to enter into our system. Then the intrusion detection system kicks in. It activates itself. It keeps a log of all that the intruder is trying to do. What is he modifying? What is he deleting? And then, after you are able to recover the system, the intrusion detection system recovers the data and the database to that original condition which existed before the intrusion started. So, from this, we can understand that a lot of care, a lot of planning goes into upkeep and maintenance of these online transaction processing systems. The database administrator has another important role also. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, there are a very large number of users, internal as well as external, who are connecting to the OLTP on a regular basis. Now, each and every person in the universe cannot have that liberty. This facility should be only for the legitimate users. Hence, in all these systems, there exists a very efficient system of authorization and authentication. Authorization is that which authorizes a user to log into this system. The day you get a job, the day you join an organization, as soon as you are given an employee ID, the next thing that happens is your employee ID is authorized to log into the company network. So you are given a password which you can always change. So that becomes your authorization, your ticket to enter the network. And as soon as you are out of that company by resignation or by any other reason, the first action that has to be done is to remove your authorization. When you are not an employee, when you have ceased to be an employee of the company, you are also not having any legitimate right to enter into the network. So your authorization is revoked. So authorization and authentication of users is a very continuous activity for every database administrator. Most of the time they will be busy with that only. Backup recovery happens once in a while. Crashes don't happen every day. Networks don't crash so fast and so frequently. But the authorization and authentication of new users is a continuous activity which is done by DBAs, database administrators. These systems, they store the data on a server. So server is most important here. Server should have connectivity on the internet, and also it should have adequate storage capacity. Large OLTPs, they store humongous amount of data in their databases. So enormous storage capacity is necessary for maintaining such systems. Till now, many of the organizations, they have been having their dedicated storage sites on their own servers, but it is proving counterproductive because maintaining your own infrastructure is becoming very, very costly. One reason is that the human resource cost is continuously rising. Salaries are rising and we have to pay ever rising salaries to the engineers and employees. Therefore, many of the companies are now migrating their servers to third-party sites, to data centers which are not their own infrastructure, but data centers which are owned by other companies. Many such companies provide these facilities, and even these facilities, they are provided in a variety of formats. One simple thing is network attached storage. So network is still yours, but storage is separate. Another is the reverse concept, storage attached network, SAN. First was NAS, network attached storage, and the reverse of that is storage attached network. And then there are very reputed cloud platforms like GCP, Google Cloud Platform, Amazon Web Services, AWS, and Microsoft's Azure. Here you have a lot of freedom. You can either use their software as a service or only their platform as a service, PaaS, or only their infrastructure as a service. Depending on what kind of package you choose, your workload for maintenance and upkeep changes. For example, if you are using only infrastructure as a service, that means you host your own site, you manage your own site, and you manage your own database applications. Then your people have to work more. But if you are using software as a service, most of these activities are also done by the cloud managers. So depending on how much you pay, accordingly you can enjoy the corresponding quantum of facilities also from such third-party suppliers. So these are the most fundamental basic systems which provide data and information to all the other information systems. Now I am ready to talk about the first kind of information system, the starting kind, which is called MIS, Management Information System. About 30 years ago, just about 3 decades ago, this concept came in the industry. When it came, it was a very hot concept. So much so that our university, Osmania University, they started an MBA program, and the name of the course was MBA MIS. So it was an MBA course specializing in MIS. That was the popularity of the concept of MIS about 30 years ago. Today, that course doesn't exist. Not only that, the system of MIS also doesn't exist now. Then why are we still talking about it? Why is it still there in your syllabus? The reason is MIS provides us the foundations from which we can understand how other decision support systems, executive information systems will be able to function. So today, MIS has no operational relevance. You will not be using it when you go to a company. Today, it is of historical interest, but its interest is more from the academic point of view. This allows you to understand how other information systems will actually function. So, from that point of view, now let's understand what is MIS and how does it work. MIS works on batch mode, not online. It was never meant to be an online system. It always worked on batch mode. So the transaction data was captured from the transaction processing system or by some other means in batches. That batches could be weekly batches, monthly batches, or whatever. The data was captured. This data was summarized, summarized, classified, summarized, and reported. Three things I said: classified, summarized, and reported. Now, to understand these three activities, we will take a simple example. Think of a marketing scenario. I have many customers. Some of them pay cash and buy the goods. So money has already been recovered. But all of them don't pay against delivery. There are many valuable customers, high value customers who don't pay immediately on delivery. I have to sell them on credit. No company can refuse to give credit to every customer because some customers are simply so powerful and so valuable for our company that we cannot displease them and say that first you pay and then take the goods. We are not a vending machine selling Coke bottles. We are selling large value products. Think of a company like HAL, whose customer is Air India and Indian Air Force. HAL will not be able to tell Indian Air Force, first you pay and then take the goods. No way. Air Force will say, yes, I will pay, certainly I will pay, but in my own sweet time, maybe after 1 month or 3 months. Now, when we are making several transactions like that, where money has not already been recovered, in accounting terms, you are creating accounts receivables. That means those customers are now my sundry debtors. Now these sundry debtors need to be monitored because this is the money which has to come into my company. So we must constantly monitor what are the monies due, how long they have been pending, when we should start chasing the customer, and in the extreme case, when we should tell the customer, no more supplies till you pay. That stage also will come someday. To do all these activities, MIS comes into the picture. So at the end of every month, MIS will list all these invoices where money has not been fully received, partially received, then categorizes them into customers, territories, zones, product group wise, and then summarizes them for which territory how much money is spending, for which customer how much money is spending, and so on. And these reports originally they used to be printed. At that time, as I told you, MIS was not an online system. So these monthly reports, they used to be printed. And printed copies of these reports were sent to the marketing managers. They used to go through those reports, periodic reports, and they used to decide what action should be taken in which case. This is how MIS systems operated. So from this little description that I have given you, you would have understood 2 or 3 very important things. One, MIS never worked on online mode. Secondly, it captured data in batches. Third, it categorized the data, summarized the data, and reported the data. And fourth point is that the reports were periodic, and these periodic reports were given to the concerned managers for their study and action. This was the beginning of MIS, Management Information Systems. Most of the management information systems which we have used earlier, they didn't have graphic support. Very few had, but most of them didn't have graphic support. So the reports were mostly tabular in format. That means the managers who received those reports, they had to do their own analysis, and then they must decide what kind of actions they can take on those reports. I have to tell you a few more things about management information systems. One was periodic reports, which I told you just now. Another facility which they provided was on-demand reports. On-demand reports were sometimes requested by the operating managers for specific purposes. Here is an example. A purchase executive is planning to visit Europe next month. Our purchase executive is planning to visit Europe next month, and when he is in Europe, he would like to meet all our prominent suppliers in countries like UK, France, Germany, and Italy. Now, when he is going for a specific purpose, he needs specific data about those suppliers who are located in European countries, what were the orders placed on them, what are the supplies which are overdue, which will fall overdue in the next 1 or 2 weeks. He needs all that information. This is not a regular periodic report for purchase. Such reports are on-demand reports. So MIS systems, the MIS system administrators could be requested to generate on-demand reports sometimes and provide them to the managers. The third kind of reports which were made by MIS, they were called the exception reports. Exception reports are those which don't deal with the normal happenings. They deal with exceptional circumstances. Now, what is meant by an exceptional circumstance? An exceptional circumstance is when a transaction or a group of transactions takes place which is very unusual, which is very suspicious. Here is an example. We are talking about a banking system. You are a depositor in the bank and you have in your account right now 4 lakh rupees. Imagine that you have 4 lakh rupees. You log in and you try to transfer 3.9 lakhs to some other account. It could be a legitimate need because maybe you are trying to buy a property and there you need 3.9 lakhs. There may be nothing wrong in that. But there is also a possibility that this kind of transaction is being done by a fraudster who is out to rob your money. Another option would be the transfer amount is not 3.9 lakhs, it is only 50,000, but 50,000 has been taken out already thrice within 5 minutes. That again generates suspicion. Then somebody is trying to rob your money. When such events happen, then it is an exceptional situation and MIS systems proactively react to it and generate alerts. Here they don't generate reports because reports have to be printed and sent and all that. Here they generate alerts. Those alerts will tell the managers that something unusual is going on in this account. Please verify. If everything is okay, no problem. You can permit. There is nothing illegal in that. The transaction is perfectly legal and legitimate. We are not going to stop it. But please investigate. If there is anything fishy or suspicious in this, then we have to act in this case. So MIS systems used to generate these 3 kinds of reports. On a regular basis, periodic reports, then on-demand reports for managers when they need it, and thirdly, exception reports. MIS was very useful for structured decisions basically. Structured decisions are those for which there is a well laid out procedure for taking a decision. So it's a decision based upon facts and figures. It's a decision where algorithm is very well known, where you know that if this parameter is high, what it means. If this parameter is falling, what does it mean? When this kind of decision is there, it is a structured decision. MIS is very useful for structured decisions. But sometimes the structure of the decision may not be very clear. It is not very clear in those cases where not only figures and facts have to be considered, but some additional information is also required. For example, the information relating to behavior of a person, behavior of an employee. When you have to take a decision based on that, then we don't call it a structured decision. It becomes a semi-structured decision. MIS doesn't help you to take semi-structured decision. Well, it helps very partially. That the figures part will be provided to you, and then you do your own research on the qualitative aspects. Qualitative aspects like those relating to human behavior or relating to weather conditions at that time or things like that. And the third kind of decisions, which are called unstructured decisions, where you cannot take a decision just based upon facts and figures, where a lot of extraneous circumstances have to be considered and used in decision making. There, MIS doesn't help you at all. So please understand, MIS is best suited for structured decisions, can be sometimes used for semi-structured ones, but for unstructured ones, it is certainly not useful. The concept of MIS was invented by two scientists. They were Kenneth Laudon and Jane Laudon. Laudon is spelled as Laudon. So these two scientists, Kenneth Laudon and Jane Laudon, they are credited with introducing the idea of management information systems in organizations. When MIS systems were first introduced in the organizations, they were welcomed with open arms because they allowed the managers to use this information as a kind of communication tool, as a kind of planning tool. Like think of the same example of sundry debts reporting. Now once you get a summarized report like that, communication becomes very effective. You can write to that customer or escalate the issue in a very specific manner by saying that the following are the invoices pending from you, this is a period for which they have been pending, and this is the action we propose to take. So like that, MIS originally proved to be a very good tool for communication and planning. And it also helped the managers to know the strengths and weaknesses of their own organization. Before MIS came, there was nothing which could tell a manager which are our strong areas and where we are becoming weak right now. There was no such information available in a formal channel. It all depended upon the guesswork and hunches of the managers. So MIS brought that improvement where we were able to see the facts and figures and decide what is right, what is not wrong, what is wrong. And in these two things, MIS made the contribution of giving a competitive advantage to the organizations in their operations. So students, today I have finished the second topic of your unit number 2. The first topic was categories of information systems, and today I have talked to you about management information systems. Do you have any